My name is Nathan Crowley, and I'm 39 years old. For the past 8 years, I worked as a logistics manager at MidCorp Solutions, a mid-sized distribution company based out of Cleveland, Ohio. I thought I had job security. I thought my track record spoke for itself. I was wrong about a lot of things back then, but I learned something valuable about corporate politics and the power of strategic patience. If you enjoy stories of cold-blooded revenge and gripping plot twists, like this video and subscribe to the channel now. There are brand new, unreleased stories here every day, each one more intense than the last. Let me start from the beginning. MidCorp handled logistics for automotive parts suppliers across the Midwest. My department managed inventory flow, shipping schedules, and warehouse operations for 12 different client contracts worth approximately $4.2 million annually. I had built that operation from the ground up, transforming what used to be a chaotic mess of missed deliveries and angry customers into a well-oiled machine that consistently hit 97% on-time delivery rates. My team respected me because I never asked them to do anything I wouldn't do myself. I knew every forklift operator by name, understood the intricacies of our warehouse management software better than the IT department, and could spot potential bottlenecks 3 weeks before they became problems. When corporate headquarters in Detroit sent efficiency auditors our way, they consistently praised our operation as the gold standard for the entire company. But success breeds envy, and in corporate America, envy can be more dangerous than incompetence. Brenda Hayes worked in quality assurance. 42 years old, she'd been with the company for 6 years and had always struck me as professionally adequate but personally bitter. She had applied for a promotion to senior quality manager 18 months earlier and been passed over for someone with better credentials. Since then, she'd made subtle comments about favoritism and questioned various departmental decisions during staff meetings. I should have paid more attention to those warning signs. Malcolm Firth was my direct supervisor, the operations director. 55, balding, and perpetually worried about his next performance review. Malcolm was the type of manager who made decisions based on what would cause him the least amount of immediate trouble, rather than what was actually right. He avoided confrontation like it was radioactive, and had a talent for taking credit when things went well, while distancing himself when problems arose. The incident happened on a Tuesday morning in March 2023. I was reviewing quarterly shipping reports when Malcolm called me into his office. His face was grim, and he had that look he got when he was about to deliver bad news, but wanted to pretend it wasn't his fault. "Nathan, we need to talk," he said, closing the door behind me. "There have been some serious allegations made about your department's reporting accuracy." I sat down, genuinely confused. "What kind of allegations?" "Brenda brought some concerns to my attention yesterday. She claims there are discrepancies in your delivery success metrics. She believes you've been manipulating the numbers to make your department look better than it actually is." The accusation hit me like a physical blow. In 8 years, I had never falsified a single report. Every metric I submitted was based on documented delivery confirmations, client feedback, and third-party logistics tracking data. My reputation was built on transparency and accuracy. "Malcolm, that's completely false," I said. "Every report I submit is backed by verifiable data. I can show you the documentation for any metric you want to review." He held up his hand, avoiding eye contact. "Nathan, I understand this is difficult, but the company can't afford to have questions about data integrity. Given the sensitive nature of these allegations and our upcoming contract renewals, I have to make a decision that protects the company's reputation." I realized where this was heading, but I couldn't quite believe it. "Are you firing me based on an unsubstantiated rumor?" "I'm terminating your employment effective immediately. Security will escort you out, and HR will be in touch about your final paperwork." I didn't argue. I didn't plead my case or demand to see evidence. I simply nodded and said, "I understand." Malcolm looked almost disappointed by my calm reaction, as if he'd been expecting drama that would justify his cowardly decision. The security escort was humiliating by design. James, the security guard who walked me to my desk, had worked with me on several after-hours inventory counts. He looked genuinely sorry as he watched me pack my personal items into a cardboard box. My team members stared in shock as I cleared out 8 years of my professional life in 15 minutes. "What happened?" asked Sarah Martinez, my assistant manager and one of the most competent people I'd ever worked with. "Just a misunderstanding," I told her quietly. "Keep the operation running smoothly. You know what to do." As I walked through the warehouse for the last time, I noticed something that Malcolm and Brenda probably hadn't considered. My entire team was watching. These weren't just employees. They were professionals who had chosen to follow my leadership because they respected my competence and integrity. They knew my character better than any corporate executive ever would. The drive home to Westlake was surreal. After 8 years of 60-hour work weeks and constant pressure to meet delivery deadlines, I suddenly had nowhere to be. My wife Jennifer was shocked when I walked through the front door at 11:30 a.m. "What are you doing home?" she asked, looking up from her laptop where she was working on client presentations for her marketing firm. "I was fired," I said simply, based on false accusations that I manipulated reporting data. Jennifer knew me well enough to understand the absurdity of that charge. She'd seen me stay up until 2 a.m. double-checking inventory reports and cross-referencing delivery confirmations. She'd watched me build detailed spreadsheets to track performance metrics that most managers would have estimated or delegated. "That's insane," she said. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to let them discover what they've lost," I replied. Over the next week, I did something I hadn't done in years. I relaxed. I caught up on sleep, spent time with Jennifer, and took long walks around our neighborhood. But I wasn't idle. I was thinking, planning, and quietly making phone calls. The logistics industry in Ohio is smaller than most people realize. Word travels fast when a respected manager suddenly disappears from a major company. I started receiving calls from former colleagues, clients, and competitors who had heard rumors about my departure from MidCorp. One call was particularly interesting. It came from David Chen, the Regional Operations Director for Pro Logistics, Inc., MidCorp's biggest competitor in the automotive parts distribution market. Pro Logistics had been trying to break into MidCorp's client base for years, but struggled with operational efficiency issues that limited their growth. "Nathan," David said during our phone conversation 2 weeks after my termination, "I'll be direct with you. We've been following your work at MidCorp for a long time. Your department's performance metrics were the industry standard. We're looking for someone to completely overhaul our Cleveland operation, and frankly, you're the only person we trust to do it." The offer was substantial: a 20% salary increase, full authority over operational restructuring, and a budget to build the team however I saw fit. More importantly, Pro Logistics was hungry to compete directly with MidCorp for the same client contracts that I had been managing for nearly a decade. "I'm interested," I told David, "but I have some specific requirements if we're going to make this work." During the negotiation process, I was completely transparent about my termination from MidCorp. I provided David with copies of all my performance reviews, client testimonials, and operational reports that proved my track record. I also explained the circumstances of my departure, including Brenda's false allegations and Malcolm's refusal to investigate. David reviewed everything carefully. "Nathan," he said finally, "your results speak for themselves. Whatever political nonsense happened at MidCorp is their loss and our gain. When can you start?" "1 month from today," I replied. "April 15th. I started at Pro Logistics on April 15th, exactly 1 month after my termination from MidCorp. The timing was perfect, long enough for MidCorp to start feeling the operational gaps in my absence, but not so long that the industry had forgotten about my sudden departure. My first week was spent conducting a comprehensive audit of Pro Logistics' Cleveland facility. What I found was exactly what I expected: a company with solid contracts and decent equipment, but absolutely terrible operational efficiency. Their on-time delivery rate was hovering around 78%. They were hemorrhaging money on expedited shipping costs, and their warehouse organization looked like it had been designed by someone who had never actually worked in logistics. But they had something MidCorp was about to lose: ambitious leadership that was willing to invest in excellence rather than just maintain the status quo. David Chen gave me complete authority to restructure the operation however I saw fit. My first move was strategic and surgical. I identified exactly which positions I needed to fill to build a world-class logistics team. I knew the market value for top talent in each role, and I knew exactly where to find the best people. They were all working for Malcolm Firth at MidCorp. I started with a phone call to Sarah Martinez on a Thursday evening in late April. She had been running my old department since my departure, and from what I heard through industry contacts, she was drowning under the workload without adequate support from upper management. "Sarah," I said when I reached her on her cell phone, "I wanted to let you know about an opportunity that might interest you. I'm building a new team at Pro Logistics, and I'm looking for a warehouse operations supervisor. The salary is $68,000. I believe that's about $15,000 more than you're making now." There was a long pause. "Nathan, I can't even tell you how much of a mess things have become since you left. Malcolm hired some guy named Rick Patterson to replace you, but he doesn't understand our systems at all. We've had 3 major shipping delays this month, and 2 clients have already started asking questions about our reliability. I'm not trying to poach you, Sarah," I said carefully, "but I want you to know that there are options available if you decide you want to work in an environment that values competence over politics." She didn't give me an answer that day, but I could hear the wheels turning. Over the next 2 weeks, I made similar calls to 4 other key members of my former team. Mike Torino, the lead forklift operator who knew our inventory system better than anyone. Lisa Rodriguez, the shipping coordinator who had memorized the delivery preferences of every major client. Tom Bradley, the maintenance supervisor who could fix any piece of warehouse equipment with spare parts and determination. And Marcus Williams, the senior logistics analyst who had been consistently passed over for promotion despite being the most competent person in the building after me. I wasn't just offering them jobs. I was offering them careers with a company that would invest in their success. The salary increases ranged from 12 to 22%, plus better health insurance, and a company that actually listened to employee suggestions for operational improvements. The most important conversation was with Marcus Williams. He was 32 years old, brilliant with data analysis, and had an MBA from Case Western Reserve University. He was wasting his talents under Malcolm's risk-averse management style. "Marcus," I said during our coffee meeting at a Starbucks in downtown Cleveland on a Friday afternoon, "I'm offering you the position of Assistant Operations Director at Pro Logistics. Starting salary is $85,000, full benefits, and direct involvement in strategic planning for our expansion into the Michigan market." His current salary at MidCorp was $62,000, with no clear path to advancement and no recognition for his analytical contributions. "Nathan, I have to ask, are you doing this to hurt MidCorp, or because you genuinely think we can build something better at Pro Logistics?" "Both," I answered honestly. Malcolm made a decision to throw away 8 years of operational excellence based on office gossip. I'm giving you the chance to be part of something that values results over politics. What MidCorp loses in the process is their problem, not ours. Within the first 3 weeks of May, 5 of MidCorp's most critical operational employees had submitted their resignations. Sarah was first on May 3rd, followed by Mike on May 8th, Lisa on May 10th, Marcus on May 15th, and Tom on May 20th. They didn't leave together. That would have looked like a coordinated attack. Instead, they trickled out over the 3-week period, each citing better opportunities and career advancement as their reasons for departure. Malcolm was blindsided. According to Sarah, who was the first to leave and kept in touch with remaining colleagues, he called an emergency meeting after Marcus submitted his resignation and actually asked, "Why is everyone abandoning the company?" The answer was simple. They weren't abandoning the company. They were following competent leadership. The impact on MidCorp was immediate and devastating. By early June, just 2 months after losing their core logistics team, their on-time delivery rate plummeted to 63%. Rick Patterson, the replacement Malcolm had hired to take my position, lasted exactly 6 weeks before he submitted his resignation on June 1st. with a scathing email about impossible expectations and inadequate support systems. I heard about Midcorp's struggles through industry contacts and former clients, who were growing increasingly frustrated with missed deliveries and poor communication. 3 of their major automotive contracts were put on probationary status by mid-June, meaning one more significant failure would result in contract termination. Meanwhile, at Pro Logistics, we were executing flawlessly. My new team hit a 94% on-time delivery rate in May, our first full month together. By June, we were consistently at 96%. Word spread quickly through the automotive parts industry that Pro Logistics had transformed from a mediocre competitor into a serious threat to established players. The real validation came when we started winning contract bids that Midcorp had held for years. In July, we secured the Midwest Automotive Parts contract worth $1.8 million annually, a client Midcorp had served for 5 years. In August, we won the Great Lakes distribution contract worth $2.3 million. Each new contract we secured was one that Midcorp lost, and everyone in the industry understood exactly why the shift was happening. David Chen was ecstatic. "Nathan, in 4 months you've increased our revenue by 38%, and our client base by 22%. The board wants to fast-track your promotion to Regional Operations Director for the entire Midwest Division." But the most satisfying moment came during the annual Midwest Logistics Conference in Detroit in September. I was presenting a case study on operational turnarounds when I noticed Malcolm Firth in the audience. He looked tired, stressed, and significantly older than when I'd last seen him 6 months earlier. After my presentation, he approached me near the coffee station in the conference center lobby. "Nathan," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, "I think I may have made a mistake." I looked at him calmly. "What kind of mistake, Malcolm?" "The situation with Brenda's allegations. Maybe I should have investigated more thoroughly before making a decision." "Maybe," I agreed. "But that's not really the issue, is it?" He looked confused. "What do you mean?" "The issue isn't that you believed false allegations, Malcolm. The issue is that you threw away 8 years of documented excellence without conducting a single minute of actual investigation. You chose the easy path over the right path, and now you're dealing with the consequences of that choice." Malcolm's face flushed red. "You systematically destroyed my department. You stole my entire team. I offered career advancement to talented professionals who were undervalued and underpaid," I corrected. "They made their own decisions about where they wanted to work. The fact that none of them chose to stay with you should tell you something about your leadership style." In October, 3 months after our conference encounter, Midcorp lost their largest automotive contract, the $4 million annual Buckeye manufacturing deal that represented nearly 40% of their logistics revenue. The client cited consistent delivery failures and communication breakdowns as the reason for termination. Pro Logistics was awarded the contract 2 weeks later. Malcolm was quietly reassigned to a lesser position within Midcorp's corporate structure in November. Brenda Hayes was laid off during the company's downsizing efforts in December that followed their contract losses. The irony wasn't lost on me. The person who spread false allegations about my integrity was eliminated due to the very real consequences of poor operational performance. Today, I'm the Regional Operations Director for Pro Logistics Midwest Division, overseeing logistics operations across Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, and Illinois. My annual salary is $137,000, nearly double what I was making at Midcorp. More importantly, I work for a company that values results, invests in employee development, and makes decisions based on data rather than office politics. My former team members have all been promoted within Pro Logistics structure. Sarah is now the Cleveland facility manager. Marcus was promoted to senior strategic analyst, and the others have advanced to supervisory roles with significantly better compensation and job security. Midcorp still operates, but they're a shadow of their former presence in the automotive logistics market. They've struggled to rebuild their operational capabilities and have never recovered the client relationships they lost during their post-Nathan collapse. The lesson I learned from this experience is simple. Excellence always finds a way to rise, and mediocrity always finds a way to sink. When someone chooses political expedience over professional integrity, they don't just hurt the person they're targeting. They damage their own foundation in ways they rarely understand until it's too late. Sometimes the best revenge isn't what you do to your enemies. It's what you achieve despite them. If you enjoyed this story, like this video and leave a comment telling us what you thought. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to receive alerts about new stories like this one. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.